Get that ass spinning.
You know, it's tough. I'm being pulled in all these different directions, all this stuff I have to do right now. Just to give you another piece of perspective, can you imagine right now, if while all this is going on and I'm so busy with everything, can you imagine if I had gone through with the documentary that I was talking about doing a couple months ago? I was supposed to start filming like right about now. So can you imagine me being in the middle of all these games that I'm already backlogged on, right? Working on these projects, the throwback channel, and now telling you guys, oh, by the way, now I can't stream. This week, you know, it's going to be a half week, entire days away, and stuff like that. You know. So, I mean, I think, quite honestly, I dodged a big bullet there. And what I mean by that is not to say that working with the documentary with Mike Clum is a bullet, but I don't think that, honestly, with the situation I'm in my life, right, that I would have been able to handle that at all. It would have been overload. And again, as I've already reiterated previously, imagine if I was trying to do that. Now, the thing is, this is very important. You know, a documentary about me would have had to be done well. And basically, imagine if I'm just like at my wit's end, stressed out, overworked, and now it's going to end up not being that good, right? Because, you know, it's just as much Mike Clum working on a documentary as it is me. You know, I would be a major part of the input of this thing. Now, how am I going to be creative? How am I going to be entertaining? How am I going to be going around different filming locations and doing all this kind of stuff when I'm already exhausted to my wit's end, right? I just don't think it would have worked, being honest, especially my lifestyle with how much that I work and everything. Imagine if, like, these weeks, I was like, by the way, guys, 3 days this week I can't stream at all. The other 3 days, it's half days. Just because I'm, you know, filming all over the place. Oh, by the way, I also have to work on my taxes this month. Oh, by the way, we're in the midst of 300-hour games that I'm never going to finish, and there's more coming that I have to skip all of them now because I'm working on a documentary, right? See, I think the difference here is when you look at someone who can work on a documentary, I'm going to be honest, it's probably someone who just has a lot of time, that they're not particularly doing something too important with their time, that they have time to do that shit. I don't, right? Like, I'm just constant. Everywhere I go is work, got stuff going on here, busy with my personal life. You know, I got shit going on. Yeah, I don't have time to just drop everything and just be filming. So, honestly, I do think that I dodged a bullet there. And then on top of that, people are saying, I guess, that Mike Clum is now working on a documentary with this guy, EDP. Now, here's the thing. I know absolutely nothing about this guy. I've never followed him. I never watched his content. All I know is that he's infamously known on the internet that apparently he was caught out trying to meet with underage girls. I think that's what it is, right? I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I think that that's the case, that, like, he was a YouTuber who was popular, and then at some point, he got framed, essentially. Like, people were catfishing him so that he would show up to meet underage girls, and then come to find out it was just a frame job. Like, they totally set him up to expose him on the internet for who he really was. But apparently some people say, well, why did he not go to jail? And apparently it's because the way that he was set up, it's not admissible as evidence in court, right? Like technically, because they set him up like that, no crime was ever committed, so he never was held accountable for that behavior. But apparently he got totally canceled on the internet. He fell apart. He went from being a YouTuber who had a prominent channel and everything to basically, like, you know, done. And hey, again, that's all I know from what I've heard, word of mouth. I've never watched a documentary. I haven't done research for myself. That's all I know, okay? And can I be honest here? Because I will be honest with all of you, because people have been asking me about this for the past couple of days, okay? First documentary Mike Clum does is on Boogie. The entire documentary is about Boogie basically being a miserable human being. The sad, dark life of Boogie, right? Well, who made Boogie's life sad and dark? Right? Was it a group of people who just decided to, you know, ruin his life? No, his life is sad and dark because he is sad and dark. And when you watch that documentary, you see the things in it that, you know, he could improve, he could change for the better, and he just doesn't. He keeps engaging with trolls on social media. He keeps doing the awful life behaviors. He's a miserable wretch because of his own decisions and actions that don't change, correct? And I think what's supposed to happen is you watch it, you feel sorry for him, and it was supposed to turn his life around. Has it turned his life around? No. Not at all. He's on a lol cow podcast. He freaking keeps doing this kind of almost degenerative content on the internet. He's not going to change. It's pretty obvious at this point, correct? So then, you know, Mike Clum comes to me and says, I want to do a different kind of documentary with you. It would not be like Boogie's documentary. It would be very different, you know, covering your life and all the things that you've been through and basically your history as a content creator on the internet, the ups and downs. And yes, it's going to feature people who don't like you talking about you, right? But at the same time, you'll be able to clap back essentially and give your side of the story of everything going on, and we'll be able to accurately recount what's happened to you and your business and your channels over the years and why so many people who literally don't know an actual fact about you don't like you, right? And I like that. I absolutely like that idea, right? And that was essentially what we were going for. It was supposed to be a fair level documentary that's going to cover the good and the bad, but basically if you watched this, it wasn't a pity party documentary. It was going to be more of an honest thing. There's going to be some comedy in it, and there was going to be other things in it. You know, it was meant to be an entertaining piece. You know, when you're making a documentary that's like 90 minutes long, you want people to be enjoying every second of it, not on board in this part or whatever, right? So there was going to be all that stuff, right? But of course, you guys were very apprehensive about it, saying, you know, I don't know if this makes sense to do, because the only documentary that Mike Clum's done up to now is this Boogie documentary that doesn't sound like that, right? It's like basically he turned Boogie, well, he didn't turn Boogie, like this was their idea, you know? Basically, what he wanted to do was make Boogie look pathetic so that people would feel bad for him. And I said, that's not what I want at all. That's not what I want out of my documentary. I'm not sad. My life's not dark. I actually have a really good life, you know, in regards to my work and my personal life. Just because a million people on the internet talk shit about me daily doesn't mean that I'm not actually in a positive place in my life. That's great. It's the opposite situation of Boogie, right? So basically, the way I see it, it would have been very different, okay? That's essentially what was discussed. That's what we're going to work on, a different kind of documentary. But now you're going to tell me the next documentary Mike Clum's going to do is this guy EDP, a guy who literally went from YouTube popularity to being exposed supposedly, and I got to say that because I don't know if there's concrete evidence or not. I can only tell you from what I've seen and heard hearsay on the internet. Supposedly, he was exposed for pedophilia, or at least accusations of pedophilia, was canceled, and literally no one wants anything to do with this guy anymore, right? So I guess the question is, what's the story, right? And maybe that is the story, is to find out the true story of what happened, but from what everyone says, it's like a slam dunk case. Like, it's not like you can dispute it and say, oh, it was fake. Like, it happened. He was exposed for it, and that's why he got canceled, and that's why he's not prominent anymore, you know? So the thing is, I didn't even know anything about it, until you guys told me a couple days ago. You're like, are you aware that Mike Clum's working with EDP? And I'm like, no. And then, of course, it starts showing up in my feed. Boogie has met with EDP, and they're sitting down to eat a meal, and the meal is like a bunch of Big Macs and powdered donuts. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck? All right? Like, no, really, what the fuck? Two guys who are grossly obese sitting down to eat Big Macs and donuts together. Does that make any sense? Logically? Morally? Does that make any fucking sense? To have two guys sitting down doing that? No. They're killing themselves, right? It's awful. Why would they be doing that? And then I guess they released a bunch of other, like, production stills of, like, EDP posing in front of a camera dramatically for what's going to be a documentary. And, you know, to be honest here, I think that's about it for me. Well, you're going to tell me that there's going to be a guy who essentially has been exposed for pedophilia on the internet, canceled because of it. What's the story to tell there? Exactly. Maybe, unless there is some secret story that no one knows about, that actually this whole thing was a screw job and none of it was true, right? At all. Then I guess that's the documentary, right? I guess that's the story. But unless that's the story, I don't think there's anything to tell there. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people already on the internet are very upset with Mike Clum basically saying, why are you giving this guy a venue to be heard, when basically we were done with him years ago. Like, we don't want him to have a venue. We don't want him to have a way to speak out about anything, because he's a scumbag, essentially, from what was found out about him, right? Again, I don't know, but I'm just speaking from, you know, what I've heard on the internet. So here's the thing. That's what's funny. The Boogie stuff, EDP stuff, that shit has nothing to do with me or my content or my life, right? At all. Couldn't be further different from my situation at all. You know, I have a full-time, very, you know, productive business that's successful. I have people who support me. I have people who love me in my personal life. My life is going good, except for the fact that there's thousands of people on the internet who shit on me on a daily basis for personal gain. Outside of that, everything's going good, right? I don't have a horrible story to tell about my sad, miserable life, about being accused of horrible things like pedophilia. Nothing like that, okay? So I couldn't be further from guys like that. So then why would I be making a documentary with someone who makes those kind of documentaries, right? And that's kind of the take I have on it. Like, okay, maybe the Boogie one was the first one, but you're going in a different direction. But now the next one is with a guy like EDP. It's like, what? Like, wait, what? I don't know, man. So at the very point here, I'm very happy that I have not gotten wrapped up in all of this shit. In the last year, they tried to get me to go on a stupid lolcow podcast. Thank God I made the completely 100% correct decision to not be involved with that kind of crap. And I'm, doing my own thing. I was interested in doing, this documentary if it was going to be what I was told it was going to be. But now when you're telling me the first two projects that Mike Clum is doing is literally two guys considered ginormous lolcows. Not even, I wouldn't even say EDP is a lolcow. EDP is just like, people think of him as a heinous person, right? So, do I want to be on the string of documentaries about people like that? No. No, I don't. And I think now I really looking at the situation. Not only would it not have made sense for me to do the documentary because I don't know how I would have done it with my busy work schedule and lifestyle, it would have completely overworked me and kind of destroyed me, honestly, I think, right? But in addition, now seeing the string of stuff coming out of that documentary, it's like, I think I definitely made the right decision, man. I really do. I think I made the right decision. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree. Because again, if things did go forward the way that we had discussed, which is what I've been transparent with all of you about, that it was not supposed to be that kind of documentary about a lolcow or a horrible embarrassment or a person with horrible history. It was supposed to be, hey, here's a normal guy running a business, did it his own way, and over the years reacted poorly to the criticism on the internet, and then people just learned to hate him for reasons of personal benefit, and here's that story, right? Now, love him or hate him, go check out his content. If you like it, good for you, right? If you don't, oh well, at least you got to know his full story so you understand the references you hear all the time. Like, that was supposed to be the point, right? So, anyway, I don't know. I'm actually, perhaps, right, did the right thing here, Because it's funny, like someone like Bill Williams says, Mike Clum is appealing to a certain type of audience and demographic. I don't think that the final product would have reflected what you intended it to be. Maybe you're right. The thing is, in life, you don't know. You don't know, but you don't take chances on, you don't know what's going to happen. But here's the thing. Last year, I took a chance on an interview that originally I didn't even want to do. I was supposed to be a guest on a show. And it turns into this interview, and the interview essentially becomes a 3-ring circus of detractor drama that then benefits detractors for how many months and ruins everyone's experience here on my content for like many months. And I learned my lesson on that. I really did. Like, if that hadn't happened, likely I might have gone through with this documentary. But after last year, I think I've learned my lesson to stay away from this drama shit. That it doesn't help anyone around here, right? Like I said, maybe there will be one day when I decide that a documentary makes sense, okay? Right? For now, I don't think so. For now, I don't think it makes sense. Number one, I can't fit it in with my life as it is. And number two, I believe it would very much just bring way more drama to this community than anything else. And what's the point of that, right? Who benefits from that? Some people do. Boogie thought he did. Boogie thought he benefited from drama. I think that's the problem. Like someone like Boogie, he literally thinks that all he'll ever get attention for the rest of his life is fabricated drama on the internet. So he just keeps fabricating more so people keep paying attention to him. Him sitting down with EDP to eat a bunch of fucking Big Macs and donuts. It's fucking disgusting, right? It's completely immoral. But, oh, look at these two lolcow guys. Let's laugh at them and talk about them today. So he gets attention, right? Like, that's not me. I'm literally the polar opposite. I want nothing to do with that. I just want people to come by and hang out with me and enjoy games and a fun discussion during a podcast. And I want to branch out over the years. Now I'm doing throwback content because I'm such a long time and prolific creator. I want to eventually get into other topics of discussion as we've talked about this year. I don't want to be a guy that literally the only reason you'll pay attention to me is because I did something embarrassing on the internet today. Okay? So, there you have it. I'm avoiding it. I'm glad I did. Okay? So what is it with these people who think that life is black and white? Because, like, literally now people in the chat, oh, so that means Mike Clum is a detractor. No, it doesn't, stupid. And just saying that is incredibly stupid that you would even say something like that. What are you talking about? Life is not black and white. I keep telling you this. There's many shades of gray and many compromises and middle-of-the-road things. This is where reality is. It's not either someone absolutely loves you or absolutely hates you. Either they're your biggest fan or your biggest detractor. No. No. I feel like Mike Clum would have done a neutral take. I do believe that. Like, he would have done a neutral take where, you judge for yourself, right? But the fact is that when his history is Boogie and now EDP, these guys that are, totally different from me, but almost similar situation to themselves, what does that mean for what this documentary would have been observed? Because here's the truth. In life, it's not about what's real, it's about how it's perceived. That's actually a really good point. In life, it's not about what's factually true. It's not about what actually happened. It's about the perception of reality. Because it doesn't matter what the truth of the matter is. If everyone believes something else, then that's their reality. And that's the situation with me. Is that even though I have nothing to do with Boogie, I have nothing to do with EDP, I have nothing to do with Wings of Redemption, I'm nothing like any of them. People will constantly group me into them anyway because the perception is told to do that by a mob of people on the internet, right? So, that's the truth. Even if I did a documentary, right, that really did cover me in a very fair way and actually showed both sides of the equation and actually fairly covered everything going on, right? Guess what would have happened? People still would have said, wow, look, this is the documentary that exposes Phil and does horrible things. What? They still would have said that. You know, I really believe that. Like, again, I don't think I'm ever going to get a fair shake. I don't think that would ever happen because it seems to me like no matter what, there's always an underlying agenda on the internet of, you know, cancel culture, fuck this guy, he's the guy who we've hated on for over a decade, let's just keep that bandwagon rolling because it always gets us the lulz and gives us content to talk about. I mean, again, I'll go back to the reference to that Turkey Tom documentary from in the fall, right? He does a documentary and a lot of people are saying, it's not that bad, Phil. There's some things in there that you probably disagree with, but it's not that bad. It's mostly a neutral take, right? And I'm considering doing an interview with the guy about it after the fact. And then come to find out, the guy is going on a podcast called the Lol Cow Podcast, appearing as a lol cow farmer to milk people on the internet for drama content so he can make money. Like, literally, that's the premise. Then he's saying in videos about me, well, I think I've milked Phil enough. And he says this, that's disgusting, right? That's the mentality of a lot of these people on the fucking internet, is how much can I milk out of people for personal benefit? So, no, I don't think that I want to be milked, okay? I don't. I'm done with this nonsensical stuff. I'm just going to do my own content, okay? And, you know, it is what it is. There's going to be ups and downs to that. There's going to be times when I'm playing a prominent game, or there's something exciting going on, and people are interested. There's going to be times like literally right now, where it's a million RPGs and people have burnout and they're waiting for new content that's different, right? And that's the case. And it's never going to be, you know, that situation where we're going to always have prominence or attention. But as long as I have a positive viewer base who come and support me no matter what I do, I'm good. And I have that. I do have that. So I'm happy and grateful for that. Maybe that's why I'm different from all the others who they have to make drama in order to get any kind of attention or popularity. I don't have to do that. I can still be successful without that nonsense. And I'm happy for that and grateful for that. Because if that were the case, if the only way I could get noticed was drama, then I would stop making content entirely. Really. I would just quit. Okay? I would have enough. I'd be like, that's enough of that crap. So. What just popped up on my screen? Oh, okay. Never mind. Nothing bad. Okay. So. There you have it. And, there we go. Yeah, everything froze for a second and then it worked. I guess I had a blip there. Okay, cool.